What's up, nerds and birds? Last week, it snowed in Texas. Last Sunday was Cray's birthday, and there was snow, which in Illinois is something maybe you can expect in February, or definitively you can expect it. You're probably in Illinois right now or in the Midwest, and it's snowing. Or it was snowy last week during that winter storm. In Texas, in February, you kind of expect it to be warm. Like yesterday and today was 70 and middle 60s. So that's pretty nice. But last week it was not that. It was below freezing and all the way down to right around zero. It's not something that Texas is prepared for. And the first proof of that for us was on Sunday when roads weren't clear. There was a little bit of snow, a little bit of ice, and people were being extra cautious. But they don't really have that necessary skills training that you get when you grow up in places where there's snow and you're driving on the road. So we're already aware of this at that point. And we go to sleep Sunday night. And in the middle of the night, Monday morning, around 1 or 2 a.m., the power kicks off. And just like that, the temperature in our house begins to drop. So typically our house in the winter is around 70 degrees. And while we were sleeping, we weren't too concerned about it. We knew that this was a possibility based on what we had been reading on the news. And all of a sudden, it's getting a little bit colder. And so we sleep through the night. I think the power may have kicked on a couple times throughout the night, but it would always go off. It wouldn't last for long. But then Monday morning we wake up and our house is in the middle 50s Fahrenheit, for those of you who are not American, which I'm going to guess is none of you. So it's a little chilly. We're layered up. We're looking at the news that we can get saying, okay, this is pretty bad. Like, when is the power going to come back on? And if in the event that the power doesn't turn back on, like, what are our options to stay warm? We're going to go into the vehicle. Do we have friends that have power at their house so that we can get out of the cold? Luckily for us, our power was not non-existent. The power was inconsistent. We would have long periods of like 8-10 hour stretches of no power whatsoever as the house gets colder and colder. And then we would have like 3 hours of power or 2 hours of power and the house would warm up. And this happened, throughout most of the first, 3 days of the week. So into like Wednesday. By Wednesday, we had an offer to go stay at someone else's house. So we did that for a night. And that was after our water ended up being turned off. So part one of this story is that it's cold in Texas. Our power is gone and people don't know how to drive. We didn't witness any wrecks, but I'm sure that they happened as there was mass panic, food being taken out of grocery stores. You can imagine for people who don't typically experience winter storms, and if you hear reports of power being knocked out across the state, you're going to do everything that you can to prepare for the event that this is a long-term thing. I think it was Tuesday, and I'm fuzzy on this because it all just blurs together, but that's okay. This is for your benefit. On Tuesday, we live in a condo association, so our HOA president came to our house in the dark. We had to use flashlights to see each other. And he told us that someone in one of the adjoining units had not followed the freeze instructions as posted by our HOA, and their pipes had burst. As a result, all of the water in the complex had to be turned off, which meant that we didn't have water. Luckily, he said the plumber was going to be coming, and he did later that night and took care of that. But what we found out is that this was not the only house that had problems with their pipes bursting. Not one, not two, but 3 different pipes burst over the course of Tuesday to Wednesday. And so we were looking at the prospect of not having water. We didn't have any water bottles. We didn't have anything suitable for water. And so that was kind of an emergency preparedness oversight on our part. So we decided to go bunker down in a friend's house who had not lost power and who had access to water. So in summary, it was a weird time. I thought about recording videos at multiple points, but because the power was so inconsistent, it was hard to justify using my battery power on my phone to record one of these if I had power. And then there's the question of whether or not I'd have the internet to upload it. And so I just decided during the course of this once in a apparently 10-year cycle in Texas, and it could be quicker than that because of global warming, I was just going to wait, as you know, for the entire course of the week. I didn't upload any videos, and now I'm back. So if I had to rate my experience with the Texas winter, I would say it was bad. It was bad because the state is set up dumb, number one. Power is deregulated in Texas, meaning that if you're not familiar, the Texas power grid is its own thing. I think for like the last 20 years, maybe even longer than that. It's not connected to any of the national grid in the United States. And the power is deregulated, meaning that there are individual power companies who can charge whatever they want for power. And so it's supposed to be a competitive economy, ideally, where people are getting better deals for their electricity. The problem is when it's deregulated and there are no rules about how much a person will, or how much a company can charge somebody for the price of their service, things like a catastrophic winter storm can kind of throw things off balance. And so there are reports now of people paying on the low end hundreds of dollars and on the high end up to $17,000 for a power bill due to half a week or a full week of intermittent power issues. So if you weren't freezing and your situation was awful and you had a little bit of power, oh, surprise, you now owe thousands of dollars to an individual company because of an oversight at the state government level in Texas. So that's been a nightmare. And then you have politicians who are skipping town or blaming the problems on solar generation or the Green New Deal, which have little, if we're talking about the solar, to no impact, if we're talking about the Green New Deal, in Texas. None whatsoever. That's not a thing that exists yet. So it's really been a weird time. The Texas infrastructure is also not built to help people access roads in the midst of winter because, you know, it doesn't happen that often. So there's not snow plows, there's not salt, there's not infrastructure. So you lose your power, you need to get in your car, you need to travel to the grocery store. You're going to have to drive on whatever the conditions of the road are with the skill of the drivers on that road. And so kind of take your chance and see how it goes. And for last week, for us, I would say it went pretty well. Could have been worse. Wouldn't want to do it again. But if things don't change in Texas, I think we're setting ourselves up for failure in the future. As this, like a lot of the COVID response of many states, especially Texas, these things are preventable. They take money and effort and resources and coordinated effort that I know people are capable of, but in the messy business of politics, some people choose to prioritize dumb things like personal profit over the safety of individuals. And that's dumb. So that's your PSA. If you're the state of Texas, stop. If you are the Republican government in charge of Texas, stop. And if you're a viewer of my video, thank you so much for watching. I've been Matt the Red. I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. where I talk more about things. See you then. Bye.
Push the button. I'm pushing the button. Push the button. Pushing the button. Push the button. I'm pushing the button. Push the button. Push the button.